All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lepage Show. I am One Bar. In this episode, we're going to be talking about 5 former Minnesota Vikings who will be up for free agency this year that could find their way back in that beautiful shade of purple. Before we get into that, remember, subscribe to the channel, like the video. We're here every damn day talking Minnesota Vikings. Just hopped over that 2,000 subscriber mark. Thank you very much. Very excited. Can't wait to get to 3,000. So remember, subscribe, and let's do this. So here's the rules here. They're former Vikings that will be free agents this offseason. Fills a need, but also we got to keep in mind just with the salary cap. So these are realistic guys that could come back and play for the Vikings. So we know there's guys out there, Adrian Peterson, the Tom Comptons, the Pat Elflines, former Vikings that probably will either be no interest or just they're not coming back. So these guys have a chance to come back. Let's do this. The number one guy in no particular order, Mr. Cordero Patterson. Patterson, 29 years old. As we know, he is with the Bears. We get to see him twice a year. Very good return man. Add some depth at receiver. Gadget guy. When we played the Bears the first time, he was their running back. And you know what? He didn't do that bad. So Patterson, if you were to come back to the Vikings, fills a need not only at receiver depth, but also return man. It seems like we have not had a return man since he has left. That would be a huge win for the Vikings. He made $4.7 million with the Bears this year. He's probably not going to command that much. Like at this point, like I said, he's more of a return man, gadget guy, and adds depth. What I like about him coming back to the Vikings the second time around, when the Vikings drafted him in round 1, tons of pressure, tons of expectations. His rookie year, everything appeared to be pointing the right direction, but we just couldn't get it going with him. A lot of people say, well, the coaches didn't know how to use him. Whatever it was, it just didn't work with the Vikings. We know he went to the Patriots, Bears, and, he's not going to be that guy that goes out there and catches 9 balls for 100 yards a game, but he will be that guy that makes opposing defenses shit their pants a little bit. And I would love for him to come back, finish career as the Vikings, and give us that stability at the back end of our receiver depth, and more importantly, on special teams. So Patterson, get rid of that gross bear blue and come back to the purple Vikings. Second guy on the list, and this one has been a little controversial over the last couple of days, Everson Griffin, defensive end. We've seen him over the last week just profess his love for the Minnesota Vikings, taking pictures, retweeting people, talking about him coming back to the Vikings. And then he went and tweeted out about basically that Kirk Cousins' ass, which did not help his case. But you never know what's going to happen. He's 33 years old. As we know, he signed with $6 million for the Cowboys this offseason, was traded to Detroit midseason, played pretty damn well for Detroit. And what I like about Griffin, the thought about him coming back, if the Vikings and him can kiss and make up, whatever happened there, he adds that leadership on the field. We need some pass rusher depth. Do I expect him to come in and also be our starting defensive end? No. Add some depth? Yes. Add some leadership? Absolutely. Add some fire up this ass of a defense that we definitely need? Yes. He's still a very valuable piece. And I think I keep bringing up the tweets, but aside from that, he would have been a perfect option to come back. And this is exactly what this defense needs, is some leadership. So we will keep an eye on that. Something tells me after this last weekend, that dream is probably dead, but I'm not going to call it dead until they come out and say, look, we're not re-signing this guy. All right, number 3 on this list, and this is probably the more expensive one on this list, Mackenzie Alexander signed that 1-year deal, prove-it deal with the Bengals. He started 10 games for the Bengals, had 1 pick, 1 tackle for a loss. As we know, Mackenzie Alexander is a very good nickel cornerback, very good in coverage, not so much against the run, but taking Mackenzie Alexander, bringing him back, adding him into the mix of Cam Dantzler, Jeff Gladney, Chris Boyd, very young secondary. I think Zimmer and the Vikings front office maybe got a little overconfident as far as letting a lot of these guys go. I know we were up against the cap, but bring him in with these guys. This would be our golden nugget this offseason if we could add a guy like Mackenzie Alexander to our secondary. I believe he signed for about $8 million with the Bengals this offseason, and he's still young. He's still very good. He's still going to command some money, so we'd have to make something work there. But I think Zimmer is just going to realize, damn, we need one of those guys back. Lost Rhodes, Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander in 1 year and just bring in a bunch of youngsters. When you got guys like Chris Jones back there, that is an issue. So they're going to have to spend some money to get somebody back there. And why not bring somebody that is very familiar with this team and this scheme? And Mackenzie Alexander, I'm going to dream of him tonight in purple. All right, next up, this is a name some might be familiar with, some might not be. Tight end MyCole Pruitt. MyCole Pruitt, we drafted him in round 5. Last played for the Vikings in 2016 when we released him. I believe he went to the Bears after that. He was with the Titans this year, made $2.5 million, 5 reception, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. You might be thinking, oh, yippee, who gives a shit? 5 receptions, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. MyCole Pruitt is not a pass-catching tight end. He is a blocker. When you look at what the Vikings have right now, we got Irv Smith, and we have Tyler Conklin, who had a little bit of a coming out party this year when Kyle Rudolph got injured. So Rudolph's future is definitely up in the air. We are going to need that bruising, blocking tight end. MyCole Pruitt is absolutely what that is. He is a very good blocker and would be welcomed with open arms on this line. Irv Smith and especially Conklin, they are definitely not known for their blocking. I think Irv is better than he gets credit for. But Conklin, when we drafted him out of Central Michigan, he was definitely just a receiving tight end. He's coming a long way, but we need that big boy up front. And Pruitt could be that guy and could come at a very good price. So MyCole Pruitt, would love you back. And the final guy, I saved him for last just so everybody wouldn't log off and go to a different video. Plug your ears. Laquan Treadwell. Coming off a season playing for the Atlanta Falcons, played in 5 games, had 6 receptions, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 drops. That is the key stat here, 0 drops. Why am I saying Laquan Treadwell? Why do we think I'm nuts? Look at this wide receiver depth. I mean, after we even cut Laquan Treadwell, I think we signed him at least 1 or maybe even 2 more times, and he came back. So obviously there's no overly hard feelings there. And if we were to offer him a contract, there's probably a good chance he'd come back. He's got good size. Again, like Patterson, we drafted Treadwell in round 1, had a ton of expectations, ton of pressure, did not live up to it. Whose fault it was, who cares? Treadwell could come back. Maybe he's a 4th receiver. It's not like we're going to be dishing out $10 million to this guy. He would be a very, very, very cheap option. Offer size, again, familiar with the team. He was here when Zimmer was here, and he gives us a big body down in the red zone possibly. I'm not thinking crazy. I'm not thinking he's coming in having 60 receptions for 800 yards and 9 touchdowns. Bring him in, add depth, even if he's inactive half the damn time. We got the good size, and we fill a need at a receiver. We need guys on receiver. So those are my 5 guys. Let me know in the comments if I'm crazy, if I'm nuts, who I missed, and who out of these guys you would most want. And we will be back tomorrow talking much, much more Vikings.